All right. Welcome to this week's episode of Weirdos Like Me. I am your chief weirdo, Dr. Shannon. Today, we're going to talk about manifesting. I know. I used to do the hard eye roll too. If another consciousness guru tells me to just visualize what you want and it shall be, or whatever other BS that they're spewing off, I will literally get up and punch them in the face. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to punch anybody in the face, but I do feel like I want to punch them in the face, if you know what I mean. So some of these ways that I've heard people say you should implement tactics for manifestation before in the past just seem absolutely ridiculous to me. And I've never resonated with them. So I always thought that this whole manifesting thing was just BS. Didn't really mean anything. You can't really do it. It's just people kind of spewing off whatever. Now, for example, let me start with this. There's this manifestation method called the 555 method. And it's you write down what it is that you want into a statement, which becomes an affirmation, right? You're then supposed to repeat the affirmation 55 times for 5 straight days. And it's supposed to just happen. Now, for me, that just is like, what? Like, I can just say I am going to make $1 million 55 times a day for 5 days and it's going to happen. Doesn't seem very realistic to me. There's another one called the pillow method that I saw, and you're supposed to write down what you want on a piece of paper, put it underneath your pillow, and then just sleep. And I guess through some version of osmosis or something, it's supposed to just seep into your body and is just supposed to happen. Have these ever worked for anybody? I don't know. Maybe they have, but honestly, I don't feel like they would ever work for me. And a whole big part of affirmations turning into actual tangible manifestations is that you have to believe it works, right? So if I'm straight up sitting here being like, no, never gonna work, then guess what? It's never going to work. So anyway, if I say, let's use this for money, for example, okay? If I say that I want to make $500,000 by July, so I give it a time frame, I can't just repeat it over and over and over and then expect the special Venmo fairy to just appear and notify me that I've been Venmoed $500,000 out of nowhere, right? While I sit on my couch eating Cheetos, watching Netflix all day. Now, what I can do, however, is say to myself, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to think? How do I need to act to actually embody someone who would be able to attract $500,000 into their life by July or whatever that time frame is that I said? And then here's key. I need to start doing the things, start thinking the way, start acting the way that somebody who would have $500,000 come to them by July would do, say, and be, right? I would need to embody the energy and embody the frequency that matches that goal. And there you go. Then you are way more likely to attract whatever it is that you want. When you're acting, thinking, and doing on the same vibration and frequency level. Make sense? Are you guaranteed your goal by doing these things? No way. You're never guaranteed anything. Well, okay, hold on. I'm going to take that back. You are guaranteed to never reach your goal if you're existing in a way incongruent with whatever that outcome is that you want. So let's say we want to apply this to something that's not money related. All right. Like, let's say we want to manifest more joy and quality time with your kids if you're a parent. So this is what needs to happen. You need to ask yourself the questions. What do I need to do for this to happen? Maybe it's scheduling 30 minutes a day with your child where you can do an activity with them. But here's the thing, phone and smartwatch free, right? That way there's no distractions in that time period. And then you need to also ask, how do I need to act? I need to act like I'm happy to put down my phone and put away my smartwatch away for 30 minutes while I do blank with my kid, read, play, take a walk, etc., whatever it is that you want to do as the activity. And I want to show my child that I am 100% fully engaged in that time being. I can promise you that 30 minutes of quality time with your kid will mean more and bring more joy into your relationship than trying to build 2 to 3 hours of your day in where you're kind of just halfway doing it, right? So like you're spending 2 hours with your kid, but every 5 minutes you're checking your phone or you're scrolling through Facebook or you're replying to your work emails. If you just whittle that down to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time, your kid will probably appreciate that more than hours and hours of time where you're really not spending quality time. And that was something that I really had to get my brain wrapped around because I need to compartmentalize things sometimes. And once I realized that, that was a game changer. Also, FYI, the do not disturb feature on your phone is amazing for this. It's actually the only reason I get these podcasts filmed, because if I didn't turn that on, my phone would be lighting up and vibrating every 3 minutes. Not even kidding. And I get so distracted. So do not disturb goes on, and then I get stuff done. Now, going back to the topic at hand, if you just sit there and wish for more joy in your relationship, if you want more quality time, but you never embody what a person is who has joy and fulfillment in their relationship, you can't get there. So what kind of things do you need to do to actually bring more joy into your relationship? Let's say that's your goal, right? Is it that you need to schedule more time together to do activities as a couple? Or even if we're not talking about a romantic relationship, let's say you're talking about a friendship, do you need to schedule more time together? If this is a romantic relationship, maybe it's less time together. People don't talk about that a lot. Sometimes you just need time away from other human beings. Even someone that you love dearly can get on your nerves if you are around them 24/7, especially if you're an introvert. Even if you love somebody to death, if you see them 24/7, it may not be the healthiest situation for the both of you. So maybe you each need to spend time apart doing things that refill each of your cups so that the time that you do spend together becomes more meaningful. Who knows, right? Only you know, your partner knows what you need, but whatever it is, you have to actually do it. You can't just wish for a better relationship and think that it's going to just spontaneously happen. Side note, derailing for a second here, but actually not really derailing because it is related. But if you haven't yet read the 5 love languages and you're even the least bit interested in how to effectively communicate with people, whether it's in a romantic relationship or not, then you should definitely read it. I just reread it a couple of weeks ago. And when I read it again for the second time, I was able to pick up on details that I missed the first time around. So the premise of the book is that every person expresses and feels and receives love in different ways. However, you can basically categorize this into 5 different categories. And if you figure out the way that you feel love and the way that your partner, or even your child, your best friend, your sister, whoever it is, if you can figure out how you guys each feel and receive love, then you can purposely choose actions that work for you and the other person that make you both feel valued and loved, versus doing something and doing it over and over and over again and never actually feeling loved or appreciated. How many times do you hear that? That's like the age-old argument where you say, I give everything, I do, and this person doesn't appreciate me, or the other person doesn't even feel like that you love them. And you're like, but I do all this stuff and I do this and that. And it's because you guys are speaking different languages. So maybe all you have to do is figure out each other's language, and not trying to sound lazy here, but you can actually do less and feel better and feel more love and feel more appreciation because you're doing the right things. So the 5 basic categories of love languages are physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, and quality time. The book, obviously goes into way more detail, but it is so powerful to know this and understand that. And I actually also read The 5 Love Languages of Children, so you can kind of learn how to apply this to kids. And anyway, check that out. It's huge. So that was a total side note derail. Let's get back to what we were talking about before. So okay, backing up, I'm not saying that your mindset doesn't matter. I do truly believe that you have to have your mindset in order for this type of manifestation to occur. Meaning, if you do the actions required to reach what you want, but you're telling yourself that it will never actually happen, or you're not worthy enough to achieve whatever your goal is, then the frequency of your thoughts don't actually match the frequency of your actions, and it will not work. It's a two-way street. Both your thoughts and your actions must match. That is how you actually manifest. That is how you attract. So manifesting to me always seems so woo-woo, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to wish for this thing and I'm going to hope it just appears. But when you start actually thinking about it in terms of matching your frequency to the frequency of something else in the world, and then those frequencies attract each other, that seems way more tangible, at least in my brain. I don't know if it does to you guys too, but that is actually what's happening. That is how you create things and opportunities. Now, for introverts especially, getting your mindset right is absolutely crucial. As an introvert, we spend so much time inside of our own head that if our thoughts aren't at that higher frequency level of abundance, of creation, and if they're not at ones that match abundance, creation, and manifestation, then we're going to spend our days clashing between our thoughts that we spend time thinking about in our heads and our actions. Incongruence between these things can only last so long. There's this concept called cognitive dissonance. Psychologists talk about it. So I was a psychology undergrad major. This always fascinated me. And ironically enough, today at faculty development, we started talking about cognitive dissonance when I was already writing this podcast about it. So I was like, did I just manifest this? I don't know. Anyway, jokes. But basically, cognitive dissonance is this theory that says if your mind and your thoughts don't match what's actually occurring in your life, you exist in the state of cognitive dissonance, which is not harmony, right? Not harmonious, disharmonious. And your brain does not like that state. Think about it like this. If you were listening to an orchestra of musicians all playing different notes at different times, and they weren't following the score, would you want to sit and listen to that for a long period of time? No way. That would literally hurt your ears, right? You would not want to sit there and listen to a bunch of people playing different notes that clash with each other over and over and over again. Well, this is the same thing that happens to your brain, right? Your brain does not want to live incongruently, goodness words. So one of the disharmonious entities has to go. Either your thoughts have to change, or the thing, the action, whatever it is that doesn't match has to change. So usually whichever one is easier is what you are going to change. So this depends on the situation, right? If it's something that's easy to change in your life, you're going to change the action to match your thoughts and match your mindset. You don't usually have to think too hard or try too hard for these types of changes though, because well, they're easy. If you really want something, you'll change your action to match what you want, and all is well. Easy peasy, right? Now, if it's something that's harder to change and the thought of change is more painful than the desire that you have as the outcome, you might actually change your mindset to match the less desirable action to avoid the pain of change. Basically, the pain of not changing has to be greater than the pain endured to make the change in order for you to push through and reconcile this cognitive dissonance with an actual change, especially a sustainable one. So, for example, let's talk about a toxic relationship. Okay. So, for purposes of this conversation, let's call person A the abuser and person B the victim. Now, the victim knows that the abuse that they are entailing is not okay. All right. So, they live with this constant voice in their head saying, you don't deserve this. You're worth so much more. This is not okay, et cetera, et cetera. However, the actions that are occurring in their daily life do not match that thought. Okay, so that equals what? Cognitive dissonance. Now, two things can happen. They can either change the actions or the environment that they're in to match their thoughts. This is where that person takes their power back and they leave the abuser, okay? Because they want their actions to match their thought process. However, what about option two? What if they can't leave the abuser? What if they're trapped in a situation that they have no foreseeable way out of, at least in the near future, right? How long can you exist in a state of cognitive dissonance where your thoughts don't match what's actually happening in your life? Not very long, right? This is why many victims begin excusing the behavior of the abuser, or worse, in my opinion, they start thinking that they deserve it because their brain has to match these frequencies. You cannot exist with disharmonious frequencies going on day in, day out. So that's how they make sense of the world. And you want to know something that's even worse than if the person can't get out of their abusive situation in that moment? What if, remember last week we talked about, no, wait, it wasn't last week. It was the week before, I think. We talked about the subconscious mind and how it can subconsciously sabotage some of our goals and what we want in life, right? So what if truly deep, deep down in your subconscious, you don't believe that you're worthy of anything better? So you alter your thoughts to ones of unworthiness, which then matches the frequency of the abuser, okay? So helps your brain make sense of the situation. And let's say you do somehow get away from the abuser, but your subconscious thinks you're unworthy and you don't deserve more in your life than that. And that's the frequency of the thoughts that you're admitting day in and day out. What's going to happen in the future with the people that you come in contact with? Your vibrational frequency has been lowered because you've given up on trying to up those frequencies. So what do you think you're going to end up attracting? People who vibe with that frequency, right? So do you see where this can cycle and plummet over and over and over again, and how people end up in situations that they're just like, I don't know how I ended up doing this to myself again and again, right? It's all matching frequencies and vibrations. So what the heck do you do about it? Okay. You can't force yourself to think a certain way, especially if it's programmed into your subconscious. It's just a losing equation. You can sit there and you can write little love notes to yourself and lipstick on your mirror every single day. Although I don't recommend it because who wants to clean lipstick off of their mirror? I don't know. That's just making your life way harder to me. But anyway, if that's your thing, go ahead. But if you have self-hatred, self-doubt, and unworthiness programmed into your subconscious, you have to change that first before you can ever manifest or attract a person of life of higher vibration. So how do you do this? You have to work on your health, both physical and mental. Honestly, though, when there is a mental health issue and cognitive dissonance in your thoughts, and there's something very, very deeply programmed in you mentally about your worthiness and what you deserve, it can be so hard and feel almost impossible to immediately change and shift your mindset. I mean, that makes sense though, right? This is why I always recommend people to work on what's right with them first. Make the small, easy changes first, and then the bigger, scarier ones will start to follow suit. So if your mindset is your biggest struggle, do not attempt to change it with your conscious mind. Don't attempt to change that first. Why would you try to change a thing that's the hardest for you to change? If you already knew how to change it, it would be done. Hands wiped clean, easy peasy, right? We would all be just floating around in the best of every world. So here's what you need to do instead. Focus on your body and your body's health. Now, really, the mind and the body aren't really separate, but when you're trying to implement change, sometimes it's easier to start by thinking of them as somewhat separate so that you don't get frustrated, overwhelmed, and then give up altogether. So here's what I mean. Start giving your body the things that it needs to be healthy. So start eating whole foods, add more raw foods into your life, drink more water, get adjusted, get your nervous system working better, take vitamin D, omega-3s, take a 15-minute walk around your neighborhood every day or your office building or whatever, just get some movement in, do some type of healthy action for your body, and don't think about your thoughts. I don't know if that even makes sense. Don't think about what you're thinking, just do the things, because guess what's going to happen? As your body and your cells start getting healthier, and as your cells and your tissues start vibrating at a higher frequency, what's going to happen, guys? If you guessed something along the lines of creating cognitive dissonance between the frequency of the vibration between your body and your mind, then you are correct. We are on the same page. All is good. However, in this case, that is a good thing to have that cognitive dissonance, because if your body, your cells, your tissues are starting to vibrate at a higher frequency and you're starting to gain health in your life, your mindset, your thoughts are going to need to start getting on board, because all of a sudden your thoughts are going to be like, okay, this, I don't know what's happening here, but this does not match. So either your thoughts are going to have to change and up level themselves, or you and your body and your health habits are going to have to lower themselves. So also don't start undoing all the healthy habits, right? Keep the healthy habits, force your thoughts, force your brain to up level to where you're at with the rest of your body. You're going to start noticing your thoughts and your mindset moving in a more positive, healthy direction. Now, am I oversimplifying some of the physiology behind this? Yes, but for the sake of not having a 4-hour podcast episode right now and boring you guys to absolute tears explaining some of this, this is how I like to think about your mind and your body when you're trying to make healthy changes to your mindset. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to go manifest the shiznits. Okay. I don't know what I'm supposed to say on a podcast. So I'm going to say the shiznits out of some stuff. All right. Because guys, this is for real. However, as an introvert who spends lots of time in my own head and in my thoughts, I've found that focusing on taking actions to embody what I want to manifest is way more fruitful than just playing random thoughts on repeat in my head that I really have no attachment to, or writing myself little notes on the mirror, or whatever else it is. Now, if you resonate with those things, keep it up, go for it. But if you don't, try some of this stuff, okay? The universe honors whatever you request of it. That's a quote from the book Essentialism by Greg. Oh my goodness, I'm totally blanking his last name right now. Anyway, the book is called Essentialism. It's awesome. You should totally read it. But make sure you're requesting something good, okay? And if you're struggling to truly, truly believe and embody something good, then screw your thoughts. Start by changing your body first. Give it good food, give it rest, get adjusted, get your body on board with health, with positivity, and get it on a higher vibration first. And then let your mind and your thoughts follow, okay? Set yourself up for success. All right. So let me know if you've tried anything that we talked about today. How did it work for you? I want to know. So let me know in the comments or send me a private message. All right, guys, Dr. Shannon signing off. I will see you guys on next week's episode of Weirdos Like Me. See you guys then.